All right, all right. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. I know we had a few questions going on about the indicators that I had pushed out, so wanted to definitely do a live training tutorial on how each of them work. Definitely welcome to any questions. At the end, we'll have a spot for that. If you have any questions at any time other than that, you can always type it in chat and we can go from there. All right, so let's roll. The secret sauce package. So this is an instructional guide. This will also be included in the purchase of any of the indicators. You'll also have access to this guide afterwards, and this is also being recorded. All right, so let's get started. Let's start off first with the strat. And what is the strat? So the strat is a meticulously crafted trading methodology developed by Rob Smith, the late Rob Smith, during his extensive 30-year career in the financial markets. Renowned for its objectivity and systematic approach, the strat introduces a unique perspective that sets it apart. Though its complexity may render it less universally understood, this multi-frame strategy revolves around three core components: inside bars, also known as one bars; directional bars, also known as two ups and two downs; and outside bars, known as the three, emphasizing key principles such as full time frame continuity, recognition of broadening formations, and the significance attributed to inside bars. The Strat offers traders a comprehensive framework for navigating the complexities of the financial markets. So the inside bar, and let's go back. So you see the inside bars here. That's your inside bar, your two up, your two down, your outside bar. We're going to go into each of those individually. And we're going to start with the one bar, the inside bar. Inside bars, aka the one bar, these occur when the current candle is contained completely within the prior candle, taking out neither the high nor the low of the previous candle. Inside bars are consolidation candles and serve as a critical decision point when the market reaches equilibrium. So as you see, the current candle did not take up the high or the low of the previous candle. That is known as an inside bar. All right, on to our directional bars. So directional bars take place when the current candle takes out one side of the prior candle. So we have our two up bars, where candles take out the high of the previous candle, regardless of the color. If a candle takes out the high of the previous candle, but does not take out the low, it is considered a two up. Two down bars are candles that take out the low of the previous candle. Again, regardless of the color, if the candle takes out the low of the previous candle but does not take out the high, it is considered a two down. Our three outside bars. Outside bars, aka the three bar, happen when the current candles take out both the high and the low of the previous candle. Outside candles can also be considered aggressive candles, creating a one bar reversal. So the market reversed from going high to going low, or from going low to going high, all in the same candle. That could be from any time frame, whether that's a 1 minute candle all the way up to a 1 year candle. An outside bar takes out the high and the low of the previous range. So there are also combos. So the strat combos. In the strat, we look for actionable signals and entry triggers to enter trades. The strat is primarily a strategy for trading reversals into time frame continuity. We often use inside bars, hammers, and shooters as reversal signals. Based on pure strat concepts, reversals all come as either a one bar followed by a two up or two down candle, or a two up, two down candle followed by an opposite two down, two up candle. The indicators that we're going to be talking about today uses these principles to identify potential trades to watch or enter. So if you see here, these are hammers, right, which shows that the market was sold off and the buyers stepped in to aggressively buy it back up, right? These typically become a reversal going to the upside. If you look at this and think about it, the market was going back up after they sold it down. But the only reason that it actually stopped is because the market closed, right? The bell rang. So you can think of that when it comes to looking at hammers. The same thing with the shooters, just the opposite, right? Shooters are the direction of the market coming down. The market was being bought up. The bears stepped in, sold it down, sold it down, sold it down. The only reason it stopped dropping is because the bell rang, right? The market closed. So as we're looking at the indicators coming up, this is what we'll be seeing a lot of, right? Hammers and shooters going as your reversals, your 2-2 reversals up, your 2-2 reversals down, and then occasionally you'll also see your inside bars. So let's start with the strat entry lines and targets. So first, once you purchase those, you need to be able to install those, right? And you open your chart on TradingView, you click on the indicators, navigate to the invite only scripts, click on strat entry lines and targets, and just like that, you're done. So if you see the video here, you can see it's pretty simple. You go to it, you click it, and boom, there you go. You have access to your indicators. All right, how it works. The strat entry lines and targets will scan for strat setups on the ticker you are viewing, regardless of the time frame. So if a setup is identified, it will display entry lines and target lines on the chart. Which is this one here, so you'll see that it displays because it was a 2 down. This is potentially a 2-2 reversal, right? Which would actually be a 1-2-2 reversal if you wanted to look at it in a 3-candle setup. So it installs your entry lines and your target lines for that setup. If the level for entry is triggered, the labels will change and will also display a 50% level between the entry and the target if it's selected in settings. There is a setting in settings where you can select to have this on or off. In my trading, I've realized that this is actually a really key level. There's a lot of stocks that I've traded in options. It goes up to 50% of that target and completely reverses. I mean, to the T, completely reverses and goes in the opposite direction. So this is a good take profit point when you're trading. Each time a level is hit, and you'll see the 50% here. Each time a level is hit, the label will change accordingly, right? So it changed from just being half here to being half target hit. Here, you see that it changed from just being the target to saying that the target has been hit. So here are the settings. By default, the current setup on and future setup off will be checked. When selected on, this will display the current setup based on the last closed candle. When deselected and turned off, it will look ahead and give potential setups for the next candle. This is best used at the end of the day for scouting your next day's potential setups. This is also for, I mean, it doesn't matter what time frame you're on. If it's the day, if it's the hour, the 4-hour, the week, the 2-day. This also works on your hybrid time frames. So you can use that. I used this on Thursday, about 20 minutes prior to the end of the day. I turned off the current setup and went through all of my list of tickers to see what potential setups were setting up for Lotto Friday. Ended up finding Boeing. It was setting up for a 2-2 reversal. It looked like it still had aggression. I took that trade, and if you look here, you see exactly what it did, right? It was extremely explosive. Now, I ended up getting out early. I wish I had stayed in a little bit longer. That position ended up going over 1,000%. So that's a reason that you would use that to be able to see those potential setups coming the next day. Like I said, it could be the next day, the next week. You can use the hybrid timeframes as well. By default, the 50% target lines off will be checked. So as we talked about, if you turn it on, then when an entry is triggered, then it will display that 50% target line. If it's off, if the entry is triggered or not, you won't see that 50%. Like I said, in my trading, I've noticed that that's been something that I've liked having there and being able to see, but I know everybody doesn't necessarily use it. So it's optional. You can leave it on or not, on or off. And also by default, the multi-time frame uh, will be locked to whatever chart you'll be viewing. You can change that on the chart to stay locked on any time frame you choose, and it'll scan the setups from that time frame. Um, so that's by default. By default, it's set on whatever you're viewing, whatever chart that is. If you see it set up, it will show up, right? If you wanted to see the day chart, the day setups, but you're viewing the 1 hour or a different time frame, then you could always go and do that. Change it to your time frame. Actually, let me change that to the day. Change it to the time frame you want it to be locked on, and you could be scanning other charts, and there you go. You'll be able to see your setup saying it's the 1 day entry for calls and puts. All right. And then this is also, the indicator has also been set for alerts. So strat entry lines and targets have built-in alerts. If the indicator displays a setup that has been found on a ticker, you can use the following steps to set alerts for your chart. So you can either click the plus button on the right side and set your alerts that way. You can go up to the top, click on the create alerts button, hit your drop down, go down to strat entry and targets, and then hit create. It'll create the alerts. Or you can right click on the indicator itself, add alerts for that, click create, and you're done. Once you're done with that, if the trigger is if the entry is triggered for either the calls or the puts on, what is this, HD, if the entry is triggered, you will get an alert that says HD 1 day entries, call entries triggered, right? Once it hits your 50% level, it will do the same. 50% level triggered, take profit. Once it hits your target, it'll let you know target hit, right? Whatever time frame you choose to set your alerts on is what it will set at. I recommend, if you're looking for day setups, to set that trigger on the day candle, on the day chart, because once it triggers, if you set it on a smaller time frame, each 18 minutes, right, that it's past this trigger, you'll get an alert saying that it was triggered. It was triggered. Every 18 minutes, it was triggered. It was triggered. If you set this on the day, you'll only get one alert a day based on each trigger that it hits. Once that day is over, you want to delete those alerts because it will save the levels for where those entries and targets were from that particular day that you set the alert. So if you set it today, for tomorrow, it'll save these levels for tomorrow. On Tuesday, if you don't delete these, it'll keep these same levels for Tuesday. So you want to make sure you go in and you delete your alerts that you set from the previous day. All right. So next, our strat watch list builder. So same thing. You'll get it from WAP. You'll go, same concept. You'll go up to your indicators and trading view, navigate to invite only scripts, and then you'll click on the watch list builder. You'll have that on your charts. Move too fast. All right. So how this works, like we said, we
Man,
talked
not,
about
man,
what's
not
up.
to cut in over you, not
Nope.
to cut in over you, but man, this the one right here that's goaded for sure. Cut out a lot of your charting with
Absolutely.
this one right here.
Absolutely. So this is a screenshot. I don't even remember what day, but like as you can see, I mean, it hit all of your targets, right? So the indicator will scan for strat setups up to 90 tickers chosen to scan in settings. The indicator will only display up to 30 tickers at a time. by your primary, your secondary, or your Ferrari drop down list. I built in the Ferrari tickers into this watch list. So if you click on the indicator itself, you'll see your active list, the secondary, the Ferrari, and bonus list. So that is all there. This is all based on your simple strat setups, right? So reversals off of an inside bar or reversals off of a two bar, whether it's a two up or a two down. So you'll see your 1-2 reversals. You'll see your 2-2 reversals that will be identified by this ticker. If a setup is identified on the ticker, it will display the ticker and the strat reversal setup on the table. If the ticker is triggered, the label will change to reflect that entry has been triggered on each respective ticker. So if you see here on Pepsi, this was the setup list that it found the previous day. Once the market opened and things started moving, Pepsi triggered the calls on Pepsi, right? It was a 2 down, 2 up reversal setup. It triggered up, but it never went through to target, right? McDonald's triggered, Airbnb triggered, Affirm triggered. You can see that this one went all the way through to target, right? So when the ticker hits target, the label will change to reflect that it hit target on those respective tickers. You see Datadog, it had a setup, 2 up, 2 down reversal, never triggered an entry. MU, same thing, 2 down, 2 up reversal, never triggered an entry. These here triggered entries and they hit targets. So in settings, like we said, the active list is how you choose which list to scan. The lists are all customizable, and you'll see. I'll switch here. You can see that here. You can see your primary list. You got 30 tickers here. These are all preset, but you can change these however you like to see. Your secondary list, same thing, and then your Ferrari list, right? So the first 22 tickers are Sal's preset Ferrari list that he's identified. And these boys are all explosive. So if you're gonna trade them, be ready. They're fast. That's why he calls them the Ferrari list. They're quick. And then you got a bonus list of 8 other tickers that you can choose to have on the Ferrari list when you put it there. The reason I put these there, because if not, then the indicator doesn't understand that these are just blank spaces, and it gives you a bunch of funky setups that comes up, and it doesn't make sense. So you can add anything here as you go through your Ferrari list. But like I said, the first 22 are the preset Ferrari list tickers that are there. All right. The current setup on, off, future setups will be checked as on. This has the same concept as the strat entries and targets, right? When you turn these on, it will show the current setup for the day, right? On the close candle. If it's off, then it'll give you the potential setup for the next candle. It will read whatever candle is live and say, based on what is happening right now, this is the current setup you have for potential setups. You use this for the next day, week, month, quarter. Like I said, it also works on the hybrid time frame, so it doesn't matter what time frame you're on. By default, the add an empty row display. So I added this. This will add a blank space. If you have other indicators that are up top at the top of your screen, for instance, the ATR DTR indicator, if you have that on, then it actually blocks this first row up here. So if you click on this here, it will actually add a blank space at the top of the indicator that will give you that space to be able to see your entire list and still have whatever indicator you have up here at the top, right? So that definitely helps out if you have other indicators that you have up. Like I said, the one that I use most is the ATR DTR indicator, and it takes up exactly this space. And I want to know what time frame I'm looking at and what list I'm viewing in the Strat Watch list. So this alleviates that issue, and you can see what you got going on with no issues. All right, and then lastly, the multi-time frame, it'll be locked to whatever chart you're viewing. whatever time frame chart you're viewing, but you can change that and lock it to whatever time frame you choose, and it'll scan the setups from that selected time frame, regardless of what time frame you're actually viewing. All right. So the secret sauce indicator, same situation. This is how we install them. We don't even need to go through that, right? It's all the same. Here it is, though, how it works. So the indicator will notify you if the ticker you are viewing has broken the upper or lower orb. You select in settings, which right now is set defaulted to a 30-minute orb. It'll also notify you if the ticker you're viewing has broken the upper or lower ADR, which is the average daily range. You can select that also in settings, and it's defaulted to 10 days. There is a time frame continuity chart, which is customizable in settings for what time frames you want to view for continuity placement on the chart, and horizontal and vertical orientation.
Orb stands for opening range, pretty much.
Opening range, correct. Yep, that's your opening range breakout. Appreciate that, Sal. So like I said, we use that. We have it set currently in the indicator for 30 minutes, but you can change that to whatever time frame you want, whatever orb you're looking for. Some people trade with a 15-minute orb. Some people trade with a 30-minute orb. What I found is a 30-minute orb is usually the most accurate. Using a 15 can get you some early breakouts, but it can also get you some early fake outs, right? So the 30-minute will keep you safer than using a 15. Then here your for. So the indicator also displays whether or not the ticker has full time frame continuity in either direction, or if the direction is conflicting in time frame continuity. So this one right here is this one's golden, right? So if you notice on my chart right now, this one says full time frame continuity up, right? When it's bright green like this, these things can be explosive, and you know that they're going to the upside, right? You scroll back and you look at HD, you can see that this thing has it's been moving, right? I hate trading HD, but like everything's letting you know that they're buying it up. The buyers are here, right? You look at Nvidia.
Man, I hate trade net and low.
Yep, that and low, both of them. Yep, but like you see, it's got full time frame continuity up, right? Nvidia, it. You see where the buyers are. The buyers are here, right? If it's conflicting, you'll see that there are Amazon full time frame continuity up. You see DTLR, it is time frame continuity down, but it's conflicting, right? There are some time frames that are bullish, but the majority of them are bearish, which is why you see the pinkish color here versus seeing a bright red saying that it's full time frame continuity. And then last but not least, it will display on the chart if the chart has a failed 2 up or 2 down at the bottom here, if it's beyond the 50% level, or if the 3 bar has been completed. If you select this, there's a separate box that will also display the 50% and the target of the potential 3 bar. So that's this one here. It's defaulted to show down at the bottom of your screen. Right now, if you look, let me turn this to a point. If you look here, there's just a little gray box right here because there is no potential outside bar setup currently. If there was one, then you'd be able to see what that looks like on the chart. It doesn't look like I can find any that are current. This one was already complete. You can see that on the indicator. It shows outside bar already complete looking at the 2-day chart. So as you're going through, if you're in any of your tickers and they create a failed 2 up or failed 2 down, you'll be able to see that right in the ticker itself. Here's one right here. So IWM is potentially going outside on the 2-day, right? You can see where the 50% level and where the target is. If you turn on your 50% lines and labels, then that will also show that on the chart for whatever time frame you have that set for. All right. Your indicator will highlight bright green if it is beyond the 50%. If it is not, then it will be um, uh, a darker tone green. It's not as bright, just letting you know that it is a failed to down and starting its way, making its way back through the top of the range. All right, so we talked about our settings a little bit, right? By default, the chart will be off for the 50% that shows at the bottom of the screen. You can turn that on or off. And then also by default, the lines and labels will be unchecked. But you can turn that on as well. It's selectable on and off. By default, the time frame continuity chart will be checked on, which will display the continuity chart, and it's defaulted to show up on the right side of the chart. You can turn that off and on. So if you look at my chart, you notice I actually don't have it on right now, but that's only because I have these here and I didn't want it to be conflicting, right? But you can always turn that on, and right now it doesn't look like it's even going to show up because these are in the way. But it will show up on the side. You can also change that orientation. You can change it from where it shows up. So let's just put it at the top center right now. And you'll see that that shows up top, right? You can also change the table display to being vertical versus horizontal, right? So if you wanted it on the side of your chart over here, on the right side or on the left side, you could change the vertical orientation as well. You could change the horizontal, put it at the top, put it at the bottom, and move it wherever. But it gives you some options to change how you see the indicators on your charts. If you don't want them too big, if you're trading from your phone, which I do a lot, I put it in tiny as the text size, and it gives me just enough to be able to still see everything, read everything, and it doesn't take up too much real estate on my phone. So those are some of your settings there that you can use for that. And then, like we said, by default, the orb range is set to 30 minutes, can be adjusted. And then the ADR day range is set to 10 days. So you also have the ability to set alerts for the secret sauce indicator. If you set the alert, it's set by the same way as doing the strat entry lines and targets, is setting those alerts if the ticker has broken orb or broken the ADR. You will be alerted to let you know that it is above or below the orb or the ADR. You can set that on whatever time frame. Again, if you set it on the lower time frame, every new candle, if it has triggered, it will let you know that it was triggered, right? So to avoid being overwhelmed with just alerts going off constantly and giving you false alerts because it's already happened, then set those to the day chart and it will only alert once it actually triggers and takes place. So the active 3 bar setup. So there are two active 3 bar setups. We have the active 3 bar, and then we have the 40 X active 3 bar indicator. So this is the first one. Shout out to Tin Show, because as I was building this, he said, I would love to be able to see 3 time frames at once. So I built this for 3 time frames. You can see up to 10 indicators or 10 tickers and see up to 3 time frames for this indicator. So that's all customizable in settings. By default, the first time frame is the current time frame you're viewing, while the other two are defaulted to the 1 day and the 1 week time frame. If a failed 2 up or 2 down forms on any of the tickers being scanned on the time frame set, it will display respectively in that table. So if you see here, shop, we were looking at the 1 day, it was a 3 bar that was complete. The 3 day had a 3 bar that was complete. And then the 5 day, it was currently in a failed 2 up, right? You see here on coin, it has crossed the 50% level on the 1 day and working its way towards forming a 3 to the downside. So you can see all of these, whether it's a 2, Failed two down, meaning it's green because it's bullish, making its way up. Failed two up, meaning it's starting to fall, it's bearish, and so on and so forth. Once the ticker has crossed the 50% level, you'll see that it will show either bright red and let you know that Sarah Strat Sniper 50% level has been breached. Blood in the water is dropping. If it's going green, you'll see a green check mark with a green arrow, and the font will be green, letting you know that it's crossed the 50% to the upside. Once the 3 bar is complete, it'll show that the 3 bar is complete accordingly on the chart. So in your settings, like I said, you'll be able to change your time frames for what that's looking for, and there are inputs for 10 symbols to be scanned, which they come as preset. And you know what? I almost forgot. Looking at this video, you can actually select on and off the secondary and tertiary time frames. If you don't want to see all 3 time frames, you only want to see one, then you can actually deselect those and it will only show that one time frame. Now, if you're going to do that, then I actually recommend you going ahead and moving from that one to the nope, not that one, to the 40x active 3 bar setup, right? It only shows one time frame, but you can scan up to 40 tickers with this indicator. So it's installed just like the others, no difference. But here you can scan up to 120 tickers. That's all customizable in the settings. The indicator can only display 40 tickers at a time by using your drop down, your primary, secondary, or tertiary drop down list in the settings. The indicator will only scan for setups on one time frame of choice, either preset in settings or on the chart that you're actively viewing. So if we go to the charts, right, this is the active 3 bar here. If you look in your settings, right now I have it currently set to the day, but by default, actually by default, it might be set to the day. And I didn't put that in my settings, but I think by default it's set to the 1 day. But you can change this to whatever. If you change it to chart, it will display whatever time frame you're on, just like the other indicators. If you change it to whatever time frame you want to look at, if you're looking for whatever setups on the week, then it will change to the setups on the week. And because the week is done, that's almost irrelevant. Let's go ahead and look at the month, since the month just started. See if we see anything that's created a failed 2 up or failed 2 down. Here we go. So J&J currently is a failed 2 up. So is Verizon, KO, Shop, CRM. Chewy is a failed 2 down. That's just on the primary list. If you go here and you drop down to the secondary list, you will get the list of tickers that are there and what has created a failed 2 up or failed 2 down. On the secondary list, there are a lot of sectors that have been built in here, right? From secondary 14 all the way down. I built the sectors in so you can view what is happening on those charts on whatever time frame. Then you have a lot of your Ferrari tickers also in the tertiary list that are here. And like I said, there are 40 tickers that you can customize there as well. So again, up to 120 tickers you can customize in this indicator. Now, this one can be a bit overwhelming. We actually just talked about this. So, and it is, I was right. It is preset to the 1 day. So your time frame is preset to the 1 day on the 40x active 3 bar. Now, this one you can set alerts for as well. And I've caught quite a few trades on alerts for potential outside bars. Now, you can set alerts for up to 120 tickers, regardless of which list you have active. You can set the alerts for all 120 tickers that you have there. So if you are looking, let's hide this. If you are looking at the 1 month and you want to know what is potentially setting up for the 1 month. Then you can have your chart set to the 1 month chart. And on your indicator, right, you can either click the plus here, go to add alerts. You can right click on the indicator, add alerts, or again, you can click up on the top to create alerts here. Once you do that, go down to 40x 3-bar and click create. It will create alerts for the primary list on the monthly chart. So the moment that this chart comes through and crosses the 50% level, it will let you know that a potential 3-bar setup is on the month for IWM. If you don't want to go through all those steps, it's simpler just to click on your plus here and add alert to the 40x 3-bar. Just like that, you're done. You change that to secondary list, click OK. Once that updates, boom, you click on your plus, you add alerts to the 43-bar. You drop down, do the same thing for the tertiary list. And once that updates, you go here, you click the plus, add alert to the 40x 3-bar. I have now just set alerts for all 120 of these tickers to inform me that if any of them cross the 50% level on the monthly time frame, to alert me know that it is a potential 3-bar setup there. Once it is complete, then it will also let you know that the 3-bar is complete on that time frame. Friday, I think I caught Verizon. Maybe that was Thursday. Thursday, I caught Verizon. It was a potential 3-bar that triggered. And surely enough, flipped over to the chart. I could see that, you know, I can't even remember if it was sellers or buyers. I think I took it up. That was Wednesday. So it went down, came back. Once it crossed, I jumped in and rode it all the way up to the top. Took profit at the top of that trigger, and let me know the 3-bar was complete. So you can definitely use these to your advantage. But beware that if you set the alerts on 120 tickers, there is a potential that you can get a lot of activity. I can't remember what day it was. It might have been that day. There were a lot of tickers that went outside day on that particular day. I mean, if you were to go and scroll through the list of tickers, there's a 3 here on AMAT. There was a 3 on AMD. There was a 3 on Baba, right? So you want to be careful. If you are easily overwhelmed, then I wouldn't recommend setting the alerts that way. I would stick to one list or the other versus setting for all 3 lists, because it can get to the point where it's overwhelming. But if you are able to keep up with that, then it will keep you from missing some outside bars that are forming. All right. Any questions?
Hey, how you doing this evening?
All right. How about yourself?
All right, I came in probably about 5, 7 minutes late, and the question I got is, are these all separate? I guess, do it all come in one, or is it all something separate that we have to look for?
So they all are individually sold, right? You can get each of them separately, or you can purchase the secret sauce package. The secret sauce package comes with all of those indicators built in. And there's also one more that I will be adding to that package, which you've seen on Sal's charts. It is the multi-time frame indicator. So it's set up to identify TMGs, trigger machine guns. And you can see that, but there was a few bugs there. So I'm still working on ironing those out, getting those tight. And then we'll make sure that you guys have access to that if you have the package. But yes, it is the secret sauce indicator package, which is it includes all of those indicators.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I see there's a question in the chart. for the entry indicator, first one, does it identify more than one target? Does it change if the target is hit intraday? So it only displays one target. So let's go and find, here we go. Was that Datadog? Yeah, Datadog. So it will only display one target on the chart, right? And this is automatically set for the day right now, but let's change it to chart. It will only display here and there. Obviously, this could potentially become a 1-2-2 reversal. If this does break your first target, there is another target that you could say is, let me change my, there we go. You could say that there is a target here, but the indicator will not identify that for you. Does that answer your question, J iPhone? Yes, sir. Not a problem. Or I shouldn't say sir because I don't know if you're a sir or not. Any other questions you guys have?
Yeah, how many of them tickers we hitting tomorrow?
Oh boy, we got a list of them boys. Like, let's see what's showing up right now. The watch list. This is the primary list. Here we go on the day. We got quite a few inside bars that we got. We got some stuff to look at. Like I said, that's just on the primary list. Let's look at Sal's Ferrari list. What we got going on?
That MDB.
Boom. MDB.
I like that SMCI too.
SMCI is already triggered. So if we're looking at straight strats, then that wouldn't trigger on your watch list, right? Not on the day time frame, but on the week. Boom. There you go. Right? Let's take that off. That's your 50% line labels. But there you go. There's your entry for calls. SMCI on the weekly time frame. Outside on the 2-day, outside on the 3-day. We got a new 4-day candle starting tomorrow as well. So you got your triggers. Now, what this indicator can also do for you guys is it can speed up your watch list building, right? If you got some stuff that is not necessarily on the watch list itself, and you're like, I don't feel like going through and trying to edit this, you can go through. I mean, there was a point in time before I built this that I would go through the entire S&P. Where is it? The master sectors list. I would literally go through each and every one, right? But as you see, it's quick to go through and say, okay, here's a setup, there's a setup, there's a setup, right? If you don't see a setup, nothing's going to show up. So it makes your building quick because you can go through and see where your potential setups are without having to spend time mentally thinking about what what you're going to be doing. So yeah, this tool can definitely be a great benefit once you know how to use it, which obviously is why we're here. And you know how to trade the strat and you know what you're looking for, then you can definitely go there. J iPhone, I see he's got, let's see. Do you find you still need to draw broad informations with these? So after so long, when you're trading the strat for so long, there's a lot of times you don't even need to draw broad informations because you see them, right? You get to the point where you start seeing broad informations. Now,
Yeah,
I also have, yeah,
you, that inducement stop hunt, man. If you get that, put that on up, man, you could just see them holes. You ain't got to
you can
draw that
see it.
shit.
You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can see it. I also have, I got a new indicator I'm working on too. I've been working on. It is, I'm going to go to BA, for example, that I've been able to start drawing channels, which actually are broad
Man, look, you
informations.
know what? I've been wanting to ask you that shit too because I've been noticing it on some of your charts.
Yeah. So I started drawing channels and I was just fooling around with some tickers. I mean, late night studying. And I started drawing channels off of 3 bars that I realized that, man, 3 bars have a range, right? We know that. We know that this is the 3-bar range. What we did not know is that the 3-bar range also is diagonal, right? So your broadening formations of a 3-bar, it continues that range throughout. As you see, BA, right? It broke and went all the way through that channel. I missed another banger trade on AMD. I want to say it might have been here. No, because that one was set there. It might have been even before I probably even deleted it, right? But nope, here's one right here. It broke. This was on a Friday. It broke and ran that entire range. This is from a previous 3-bar. Can't even tell you how far back, right? Previous 3-bar back here. And it ran that entire range through that, right? So I don't draw a lot of broad information, but I do draw channels and use those also as broad informations. Frank Biz.
Man, I don't even got broad informations on my goddamn sectors.
Yeah, but I know that those channels, like I said, aka broad informations, I mean, look at XLP. Look how they respected this channel. That's a broad information. It just also shows the range of that that 3-bar, that previous 3-bar. So that was also how I smacked what was I in? Google. I was in Google a couple days ago. I smacked that the same way, looking at this channel, and that's what led me to actually get out right at the top, because there was a channel right there at the top. Surely enough, you see what it did. Went up, touched it, reversed right after it crossed the outside week, right? And I was so confident in this because of the OTE from that gap where it bounced off of a downtrend channel, which is also a broadening formation, right? Came here, came down to OTE, shot straight through that channel, hit the top of it, and then it rejected. And you can see it's still respecting these channels down through here. So that's a little deeper. I'm working on building that because it's real. Frank, I see your question. It's difficult to explain, which is why it's been difficult to build, right? Drawing off of the threes, but let's just say let's go to something I haven't drawn on. Might be difficult. JMPR. So if you see here, it's there. So I see channel here. I would draw from the top. Yep, I would draw one from the top of this 3 to the bottom of that 3, and then through the top of this 3. And that will give me a range. And you'll start to see where it starts to respect this range, right? I mean, you see exactly what happened here. Exploded off the bottom, came back through, touched, started buying back up, right? So those are some of the channels that I would draw off of 3-bars. So typically you draw from the bottom to the bottom, right? And you're always drawing in a broadening formation fashion. But like I said, I've gone a little unorthodox, but I realized that like it's been helping me in some of my trading for sure. Went from the top here to the bottom. That could potentially give you another range. There you go. From this 3 here, you see all of these respected that range. It's a little crazy, but it works. And Frank Biz, I see you had another question. Should keep the setting on. Yeah, so for the current setup on and off. So if you're looking at, let me just take these drawings off. So if you're looking at the strat entry target or the watch list builder, if you turn this on, if it stays on, it reads the last closed candle. So it'll show you for right now, right? You know what? Let's go to BTC. all right, because we know it's active. So here is BTC, right? It will show you the setup for the last closed candle, right? It won't show you for the live candle because it's live, but the last closed candle, it can give you a setup on. This is the 1 hour. Let's see if we can find anything lower. Oh, this is a good one, right? So right now it's set to on, right? Let me go back here, 18-minute. Pull my indicators down. So it's set to on. If you change this and take it off, then it will show to what the current candle is. So what I do is I use this to find potential setups for the next candle coming, right? Like, so using it on the day chart, on the week chart, the month chart, whatever. If the week is not done yet, but you can uncheck this and it'll let you know what potential setup for next week with that current, if that current candle was to close as it is. Same thing for the day. So I talked about earlier how I did that with BA on Friday. There was a potential setup. When I turned this off, I could see that there was a potential 2-2 reversal setup that I ended up jumping into on Thursday before the market closed, and ran it all the way up on Friday. But this works for the strat entry and target, and it's the same thing for your strat builder. So if you turn that on, it shows for the last closed candle. If you turn it off, it'll read the current candle that's live as well. All right. I need the name of the strat indicators typed out. We'll find. So I have to rewatch the entire video. Guap, I'm trying to understand your question. Let me see. I need the names of these strat indicators typed out somewhere I can find them so I don't have to rewatch. Gotcha. Yeah, so there's a link in the Discord. It's pinned to the top of the channel, but I'll make sure we can put another one in that has everything there. And that way you won't have to fish for it. These are all good questions. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. Aside from that, they're available for. So yes, they will be added on to WAP when you purchase the indicators. The slides will be available. Absolutely. No, so that's actually a good point. I actually just changed it to I'm changing it to 5 days for the trial. But as of today, there is, let's see, there's actually, I appreciate your feedback, Foodmatic. There's actually a QR code here. So you see that, you can scan that. That will give you access to the indicators for 7 days for free. This way you can take the indicators, you can test them out, see if it works. If it works for you, then, you go back and you purchase it. For those of you who have the indicators already, if you scan, if you appreciate that, J iPhone, if you scan this QR code and you already have the indicator and you've already purchased it, I appreciate the purchase, appreciate the support. If you scan this indicator, then I will also be able to see that in WAP, and I will add those 7 days onto the current subscription that you already have. Any other questions or feedback? All right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support and all. We're going to keep rocking this. We all trying to get better, right? Um, we are all trying to make it, right? Like, so like I say here, don't trade for money, trade for freedom, right? We all doing this for a reason. let's just keep at it. Sal's got a great thing here, having Zamunda here. The providers in the group, like everybody's here to help. If you need any help, do not ever hesitate to ask. I'm not an official provider on the team, but I'm still here to help. Right. So any questions you got, whatever, just ask. Take advantage of it. That's why we're in this group. That's why we're in this community, to take advantage and all grow better together. All right. So if nobody else has any other questions, Sal, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add or anything before we drop off.
Nah, I'm gonna do like I guess a 15, 20 minute, Zoom or whatever form and go over a few plays that I'm looking at and stuff like that.
All right, that works. Well, I'll see you in a couple minutes, brother. As soon as I see that link, I'm there.
All right, boss.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.